Hari Om, my dear students. Please follow the instructions given by the government to fight against COVID-19. Whenever you go outside, don't forget to wear mask. Now I am here to teach you the poem The Tiger in the Zoo, written by Leslie Norris. He was a Welsh poet and short story writer. Through this poem, he narrates the woeful state of a tiger which is in the zoo. The poem contrasts the tiger which is in the zoo and the tiger in its natural habitat. Listen, this poem written by Leslie Norris. He was a Welsh poet and short story writer. Through this poem, he narrates the woeful state of a tiger which is already in the zoo. The poem contrasts the tiger which is in the zoo and with the tiger in its natural habitat. All of you take your literature reader, page number 29. He stalks in his vivid stripes the few steps of his cage on parts of velvet quiet in his quiet rage. He should be lurking in shadow, sliding through long grass, near the waterhole where the plum deer pass. He should be snarling around houses at the jungle's edge, baring his white fangs, his claws, terrorizing the village. Once more listen. He stalks in his vivid stripes the few steps of his cage on parts of velvet quiet in his quiet rage. He should be lurking in shadow, sliding through long grass, near the waterhole where plum deer pass. He should be snarling around houses at the jungle's edge, baring his white fangs, his claws, and terrorizing the village. Now let's see line by line. He stalks in his vivid stripes. He stalks means walks. The tiger walks in his vivid stripes. Vivid means bright stripes. That means we can see bright stripes on its body. He stalks in his vivid stripes the few steps of his cage. The tiger is already inside the cage and it walks a few steps. On parts of velvet quiet. Its paws are soft like velvet. Its paws are soft like velvet in its quiet rage. The tiger is silent but in rage. The tiger is actually inside the cage, so it is silent but actually in anger. Rage means anger. Then what is the meaning of the first stanza? The first stanza, the poet says that the tiger is actually inside the cage and it walks a few steps. Why? Because already inside the cage. Its paws are soft like velvet. We can also see bright stripes on its body. The tiger is silent but actually it's in anger. He should be lurking in shadow, sliding through long grass near the waterhole where plum deer pass. He should be lurking in shadow. Lurking here means hiding. Then usually we can see the tigers hiding behind the bushes or behind the waterhole or behind the stream where the plum deer pass. That means the cage is the poet says that the cage is not the proper place for a tiger. The tiger in the cage is the victim of human cruelty. The poet says that the tiger in the cage is the victim of human cruelty. The cage is not a proper place for the tiger. The tiger in the cage is a victim of human cruelty. It should be, usually we can see tigers behind the bushes or near the water holes to catch their prey like deer. To catch their prey like deer, rabbit, etc. What is the meaning of the second stanza? The poet says that the cage is not the suitable place for the tiger. The tiger in the cage is the victim of human cruelty. Usually we can see tigers behind the bushes or near the waterhole to catch their prey. Again listen the third stanza. He should be snarling around houses at the jungle's edge, baring his white fangs, his claws, terrorizing the village. He should be snarling around the houses which are near the forest. He should be snarling. Snarling here means growling around the houses at the jungle's edge. It should be snarling around the houses. It produces the sound of anger, low sound of anger. It should be snarling around the houses which are near the edge of the forest, bearing his white fangs, his claws terrorizing the village. What is the meaning of the last stanza? The tiger should be terrorizing the people passing that way by showing its claws and fangs. The tiger should be terrorizing the people passing that way by showing its claws and fangs. What is the meaning of the last stanza? The tiger should be terrorizing the people passing that way by showing his fangs and claws. Then listen, today we have seen the first 3 stanzas of the poem The Tiger in the Zoo, written by Leslie Norris. He was a Welsh poet and short story writer. Through this poem, he narrates the pathetic state of a tiger in the zoo. The poem contrasts the tiger which is in the zoo and the tiger in its natural habitat. In the first stanza, then we can see the tiger which is already in the zoo, in its cage. It walks inside the cage. It can walk only a few steps. Why? Because it is already inside the cage. Then we can also see white stripes on its body. Then its paws are soft like velvet. It walks quietly but in rage, but actually in anger. That is the meaning of the first stanza. Then the second stanza, the poet suggests that the cage is not the suitable place for the tiger. It shows the human cruelty. We can usually see the tiger in the forest, behind the bushes or near the stream for catching their prey. But in the case of this tiger, it is already inside the cage. Then according to the poet, it is not suitable for him. Then again in the third stanza, the poet says that the tiger should be terrorized. If it is in the forest, the tiger should be terrorizing the people passing that way, showing his claws and showing his fangs and producing the low sound of anger. Okay, all of you understand? Listen, this poem written by Leslie Norris. He was a Welsh poet and short story writer. Through this poem, he narrates the pathetic conditions of the tiger which is already inside the zoo. Then which is already inside the cage, we can see bright stripes on its body. It walks only a few steps. Why? Because already it is inside the cage. Its paws are soft like velvet and it walks silently but in rage. Then usually we can see the tigers in the forest, behind the bushes or near the stream to catch their prey. But in this case, the tiger is already inside the zoo. Again in the third stanza, if it is in the forest, it should be terrorizing the people passing that way by showing its fangs and claws. Then I think all of you understand this poem. Read the poem several times. I will send you the notes through Google Classroom. Thank you all.